Good good morning. We made this work.
uh, I know. Yes, exactly. Are we actually live now?
It's funny. I really think we are. Like, I think we're in the live universe. My little bubble says live.
Oh, wow.
It's only, hey,
Excellent.
this is like the first component of our anti-aging talk, like learning some diving into new experiences, like experiences that maybe you even
Yeah,
have a little anxiety about or you feel a little nervous about. And
yeah,
here we are.
yeah, absolutely. Um, and in fact, I think the whole kind of neuroplasticity thing. Oh, you've disappeared. There's a
Oh,
shot of your speaker.
I totally disappeared. Oh, here I am.
Yeah, I think actually it's funny. The whole neuroplasticity thing is something that I quite often talk about with people. And I think there is an assumption, isn't there?
Assumption, isn't there?
Um,
Um,
oh, now
oh,
there's an
now
echo.
there's an echo. Oh, now there's an echo. Hold on. Okay, you guys. Hey, everyone. We are just reinforcing here that we are trying new things. This is neuroplasticity, and I was having a little feedback myself. I think it was actually coming through the headphones, so I unplugged my headphones. But now we're good, and
Oh, that's
we're
better.
all good. Hold on one second. Let me just do one more test. This is our like 30-second dress rehearsal before we go in.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Rotate device back. Hold on one second. I have a question for you. Are you in portrait mode or landscape mode with your phone? I
Oh,
know not everyone does these YouTube lives because it's kind of a new, I think it's a new feature that we can go live with each other. It's not quite as clear cut and easy as the Instagram lives, right?
yeah.
Because I actually tried
I'm
it on my computer first and it wasn't quite so clear cut.
yeah, I am.
Maybe other people have different experiences with this, but
Yeah. So presently I am landscape.
oh, you are landscape. Okay, hold on one second because I have a little. Oh,
But now,
interesting.
now I'm doing this.
And now you're this way. This is so interesting because when I, you guys, bear with us. This is actually going to be a really good informative tutorial for anyone who's going live with someone else on YouTube because we are figuring this out as we go. I have a like when I'm in the landscape position, I have a view of you, but it actually says my orientation is locked weirdly. But when I go in this direction, it says that my orientation is correct, when I go to portrait. So that's
Should
really
I move?
interesting. That's really interesting. What happens if you do go in the other direction?
Does that work still?
It actually does. Does that work for you?
Yeah, yeah, I'm easy.
Amazing. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm actually just gonna shift my I have a little rig here so I can put my phone. You guys, this is awesome because I can even recommend like what rig I'm using to like quickly change from from landscape to portrait mode here. And like in 60 seconds, we're gonna be on, you guys, and we're gonna be talking about neuroplasticity and how amazing it is to try new things with our programs. Okay, hold on. 60 seconds. Bam. Okay, this is exciting. I think this works really well. Now I just need to do a little thing here. My husband is actually he actually did professional photography and videography for a little while he's also a professional musician because like when you're a musician or actor or any of the things
Yeah.
other work needs to be attained, and so he did a lot with audio visual. So I'm so lucky that he like has all of these like little pieces of equipment that allow me to like quickly move from landscape to portrait and like not have to like hold my phone while I do it. I'm sure you have some amazing way of keeping it set up because you're such a pro.
Oh, yeah. Such a pro. Absolutely. Well, no, I've got an incredible tripod actually that was, yeah, just then very easy to flip from one to the other. I mean, obviously, it is a lot easier when we do use our phones. I'm just not used to using phones for YouTube
Yeah,
stuff.
I know. No,
But yeah,
it's
what?
I actually assumed that being on YouTube that we would have to be on a desktop computer, be shooting landscape, but this is cool. And
Mm,
it's funny because when I was watching talk about anti-aging, but the new thing that I was learning yesterday was going to YouTube. I sent you this link and learning how to do the to do the YouTube live, going live with someone else. And it hasn't been that, this feature hasn't really been around for that long. And I mean, sadly, I'm kind of embarrassed to say that I spent about 30 minutes watching the YouTube video, learning, oh, actually, I can't do it in my YouTube studio right now. I need to do it on my phone, and setting up those links and the whole thing, trying to like walk on the treadmill while I do it, because, it's easy to like be sedentary while trying to figure something out for the first time.
Yeah, love it. I love that idea. I've so
Oh
today I've
man.
got an 8-hour Zoom session,
An
and
8 hour?
yeah, it's not normal, and this is going to be a
Yeah.
one-off, and yes, it's going to be full on, and so I've been trying to figure out today things like nutrition. What am I going to have by the side of me in order to keep me going? Should I take any nootropics, which I do occasionally? Because
Right.
obviously
So what is like your
it's
number one strategy when you know that you have a lengthy Zoom session like that, where I'm sure it requires a great amount of attention? I'm assuming that you're teaching. And how do you offset the 8 hour Zoom and make that into an anti-aging experience for yourself? Because so many individuals deal with the 8 hour office shift, and that is aging us. So how do you make that anti-aging?
yeah. Well, I've got to do the things that I tell people not to do. As in, I will do things that will help, but equally, I'm going to be, and they will hopefully counter the things that I tell people not to do. Especially, so this is all set up for the US, and that's why I was due to go to the US for this. I think
Oh,
if
that's
you
right.
remember, I was saying
Yes.
this is
Mm-hmm.
the meeting I was due to
Mm-hmm.
go to. But good old US policy won't let us in unless we've had something stuck in our arm. So I,
Ugh.
because I haven't
Let's not
had
even get
that
started
thing.
on that.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's why it's set up. But because of that, it means that the hours are a bit tricky for me, because the meeting will start at 2 and end at 11. And all my energy comes in the morning. I wake at 4, I have bags of energy, and I get loads of stuff done.
Me
So I'm having
too.
to kind
We're
of,
both 4 a.m.
yes, yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, you and I are very similar, I think, in that respect, aren't we? We are the annoying people
Mm-hmm.
that jump up and get very excitable and, well, hey, it's another day kind of thing.
But it's also trainable, like, and this is
Yeah.
anti-aging. I don't want to derail you, continue on your thing, but the 4 a.m. wake up, and it doesn't have to be that early, but you guys getting it in early in the morning and
Yep.
training yourself to get up earlier is going to help set your circadian cycles. You can expose yourself to natural light sooner, as soon as that sun is rising at 5 or 6 a.m.
Mm.
So many things. So, well, but we'll speak more on that after.
Well, no, let's dive into that actually, because I don't want to go on to a long ramble about
Oh,
my
sure.
working
Well,
day.
feeds
But
in this feeds into what you're doing today. Like you
yeah,
I'm assuming that you waking up at 4 a.m., knowing that you have that 8 hour bout where you're going to be focused and giving your energy to someone else. I think one of the anti-aging factors that I implement in my life every day is wake up early, so that I can put energy into myself and eat the frog, all the things like learn something new, read some research, read some fiction, do my own workout, all the things, because then when I'm in Manhattan and I'm training clients, I'm giving all of my energy to other people,
yeah,
and I am not working on many of the factors that I want to work on every day to prevent cognitive decline and prevent aging. Not that working with
yeah,
other people and giving energy to others doesn't also help with aging, because we're, of course, just by simply teaching, we're working on our own brain, we're also helping others, and there's that, that gratitude and all the things. But there's so many things that we can't attend to when we are giving our energy to someone else. And so that's why I've
oh, yeah,
always been like a firm believer in like that early wake up, just to like get all the things that are so important, triage all the things that are important to me before my kids, my husband, all the work, and all the other things.
absolutely. I'm 100% with you. I mean, the way I see it is I ride my neurochemical flow, or ride the neurochemical wave. And we're all different, of course. And I guess the problem at the moment is that there is often conflicting information about what you should and shouldn't do. Most recently, for example, there's lots of negative talk about intermittent fasting, claiming that it's making people skinny fat, for example. Now, I am a faster, but I figured out early on that I it didn't work for me to do it every day. And I learned that very quickly, especially when combined with cold therapy. I just lost too much weight. It just didn't make me feel good. It consumed too much energy, which of course is the counter to what it should be doing. And that's one of the things I was going to mention about today, that nutrition is really important when you know you've got a long day ahead, especially around carb use. So, I limit my carbs and I'll have them much later in the day, for example. But yeah, so when it comes to anti-aging, I think part of my daily protocol helps this. And part of that is around the neurochemical waves that you can ride, especially with cold showers, riding the dopamine, especially through meditation, mindfulness, movement, all the things that I know you do. A very, very key thing for me, as far as anti-aging is concerned, is one of these.
Now this is something that I don't implement and I want to learn more about. And I know you are a pro,
Yes.
so tell us all about it.
Yeah, definitely worth it. And they're not expensive now. This is the cheapest one from a company called Red Light Rising, which is a British company. I highly recommend them. I'm not affiliated with them, but I highly recommend their products. And so Red Light, there's two versions or two frequencies of red light that you can use for different purposes. One is infrared that people are aware of. This is a frequency just below infrared, and it's really good at reducing inflammation. It's also very good at improving your eyesight. So there's lots of, at the moment, it's just anecdotal evidence around this, I think, although there is research going into this. I've definitely noticed
Anecdotal
a
is
change.
incredibly powerful, though. I mean, it takes
Yeah.
years and years of anecdata to then, feed into the formal research, but it's
Yeah.
there. It certainly is there.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, that will help boost collagen. It's really good for skin health. So I look at it, and what I do is, I'm like you probably. I combine methods. So I will meditate in front of the red light, or as is often seen on my channel, I in front of the red light. So the red light's on my face, and for about 20 minutes, half an hour, it's in my face, and I'm just going, oh, I'm just doing long sounds, just vibrating the vagus nerve and stimulating my body. By the way, this is after the cold shower, after a strong black coffee. So I'm probably overdosing on neurochemicals, but either way, it makes me feel
But it
good.
is individual. I mean, like you said, listening to your body, knowing what the research says, but then also anecdotally studying the individuals around you, whether they're students or clients or friends and yourself, and spending the time to have that to reinforce and study that mind-body connection. And I find that that's one of the reasons I also wake up at 4 a.m, because otherwise the day gets so crazy. There's so many, balls that I'm juggling over the course of the day. I don't want to only be a ball juggler. That's that's not what I want my career to be. I want my career to be learning about myself and learning about my clients, so that then I can better be able to teach those things to other people. And the only way to be able to, to do that is to have that disciplined time and have that focused time of, your daily how are you responding to it neurochemically? How are you responding to it? Now, of course, we're not in an exercise physiology lab, so it's hard to really study specifically, but we know based on the research in general what those waves of neurochemicals are. And also over time, you start to be able, when you study yourself, you start to be able to feel when that cortisol is rising organically and naturally, when you feel high or low dopamine, and if you're always crushing yourself with tasks, overwhelming tasks that don't enable you to study your own body, then you may not be able to feel that. I mean, it took me a long time to feel the difference between a caffeine high and a dopamine high, and knowing, okay, caffeine is a great tool. Don't always need it, because sometimes when you first wake up in the morning and you're rested and that cortisol is naturally high, and you also can get that dopamine from that cold shower, maybe use caffeine as a tool, as like a light dose, but not squashing yourself, with all of, with so many stacks that you don't have the ability to read yourself and study your own neurochemical spikes,
100%. And I think what's really key to it, and a good way of assessing this, is do you have, as I do, excitable energy in the morning, but are you still capable of working through the afternoon as well? Because a lot of people that maybe don't get this research and experimentation right is when they have boundless energy in the morning and then they crash in the afternoon. So obviously there's something going on there,
Yes.
because we should be able to, regardless of age, we should be able to do a full day on at least a good level of energy. It doesn't have to be excitable energy like you and I in the morning, but it has to, we should be, running on a good, even level of energy where we've got cognitive, or rather, we've optimized our cognitive ability. We can think straight. We're rational. We respond to people appropriately. We should be able to do that. If we're not able to do that, then there's certain things that we can do in order to figure out, okay, so what is my body missing? And it could be things like minerals, couldn't it? I'm sure you agree. I've been taking
Absolutely.
upgraded formula recently, or it's called upgraded formulas, and they do magnesium and sodium, potassium in this sort of nanotech form. I'm not too sure
Oh,
why it's that, by the way,
interesting. So is it
but
pill? Is it a pill form, or is it powder that go like an
liquid,
electrolyte that goes in?
liquid.
It's liquid.
Yeah.
Interesting. And you take it as a
You-
shot.
yeah, you just sort of pipette it into your water, 3 or 4
Oh, okay.
pipettes, and
Yeah.
yeah, and it's wonderful. When I was abroad recently, I found it really useful at dealing with jet lag. It aided my sleep as well, in order, regulating the circadian rhythm a bit quicker and just getting enough sleep. And so I think for a lot of people, when they're low energy, it's quite often things like that, isn't it? They're not getting enough minerals in their body that we used to be able to get from food, which we don't get now, not to the extent that we need it.
Well,
Um,
absolutely. And there's also the factor of, because of the higher levels of stress and even because of the higher
mhm,
levels of just chronic output over the course of the day. I know I deal with this a lot, even, with athletes, the constant output of minerals, calcium, potassium, all the things are even in simply an electrolyte powder. I've
mm,
seen so many benefits by including more electrolytes, or or something like this amazing nano tablet
mm,
into a client's program, and not overhydrating on just plain water, because you
yeah,
use that water to improve your osmolarity, that nice ratio of sodium and water and all of the minerals in the system, so that your muscles are going to recover more effectively if you have the proper levels of minerals in your body. I was actually working with an actress recently who's, she was having some fatigue in the afternoons, and that really was the thing that she was missing, because she was doing these crazy long scenes. She was outside. She was in Atlanta, in Georgia, in the States. If you've been there before, you know how like excruciatingly hot it is. And so she was losing so much sodium and potassium and all the minerals that we lose when we sweat. And so
mm,
you need to be cognizant of that and put those things back in your body. And then, to your point, also, it may be that we're just not getting the minerals that we need through the food that we eat, especially if you are an intermittent faster. And, going back to that topic, I think intermittent fasting is wonderful. Of course, it is, very individual. There are some females who don't thrive on it just because, just from a hormonal standpoint,
yeah,
and maybe don't have the proper mineral support over the
yeah,
course of the day. I think especially if you're employing something like intermittent fasting, which certainly has been shown to be anti-aging on so many levels in terms of inflammation, increasing
mm,
human growth hormone, all the things that tend to decline with age. So intermittent fasting can be a great tool, but just being aware that you may need to be a little more focused on the minerals that you're putting into your body, on the protein. Like when you do eat, make sure that those foods are of high quality and really dense in the things that your body needs to anti-age, like
yeah,
proper protein levels to keep your body composition. Like you were saying, you got too skinny. Well, that's actually not, I mean, first, yes, there's a certain level of, of improvements when we get like skinnier, quote unquote, if you are losing body fat and maintaining your muscle mass. But as soon as you start losing your muscle mass, that's not helping your bone density. That's not helping with something called sarcopenia, which is the natural loss of muscle mass with age. And so, it's
mm,
finding, as you've said, finding that balance of what you need over the course of the day, and like employing anti-aging tactics, but not getting so extreme with them that it ends up working to your detriment. Because I think any
absolutely,
anti-aging protocol can be a double-edged sword, and you really need to study yourself once again and know,
yeah,
what your body needs based on your
yeah.
output.
Yeah, don't follow the dogma, don't follow the protocol. As in, I think what a lot of people do, they don't do their own research. They often hear it from people online, um,
Yes,
and
like
and they
us.
think,
But
yes,
listen to
and
us. We're
yeah,
we're the good ones.
but yes, and they think, oh, if it works for them, it must work for me. But of course, it won't necessarily, and or if it does, it won't necessarily be in the same way that that person does because we're all different. This, when it comes to anti-aging, and in fact, really, when it comes to this journey of life, I think the best way of figuring this stuff out is to find excitement in the exploration of you. In other words, find out what works for you, and it could be down to food and nutrition. It could be down to fasting. It could be down to exercise. We're all totally different, and if you make it like I said, an exploration. In other words, you're genuinely interested in how you can improve you, and therefore, yes, watch this video on YouTube that somebody saying that intermittent fasting works. Then watch another. Just get different sources of information, practice it, try it, but go a little bit at a time. If something, and I think maybe the key to this is finding that doorway to your inner wisdom as quickly as possible. In other words, being able to get to a point where you trust your gut, in particular, when it comes to
Hmm.
certain practices. Because some people, I think, often they will do something, then their body really doesn't like it. But because they've heard that this is the thing to do for your body, they force through, they keep pushing through in the hope that
Hmm.
if I just keep going, eventually the reward will be there. Well, actually, no, if your body's screaming and shouting at you, then stop. It's obviously not doing you any good.
Absolutely. I love what you just said about finding joy in the exploration. And I think that's something that you represent
Mm,
so well, and
mm,
I think all of us are so grateful that you're public about it because, like this life is all about trying new things. I mean, the science is always changing and so is your body, and
yeah,
so try something new, make notes, maybe have a journal. Maybe even I encourage my clients sometimes even to do little vlogs. They don't have to be public, they're just for themselves, or sometimes they send them to
yeah,
me. Answer three
brilliant.
questions at the end of the day. What in general, what was your energy like? In general, what was your mood? In general, what was your connection, your mind body connection? Just like a few simple things. I might even have them do certain metrics like a carbon dioxide tolerance test, or when they first wake up in the morning, just to have
Mm,
different metrics over the course of the week, just to be able to study and staying consistent with whatever you're experimenting with for at least 3 or 4 weeks,
yeah,
because it generally takes minimum that long for the body to start to adapt to a new protocol, whether that be an exercise protocol or a neurological, a psycho, psychotherapy protocol, or whatever it may be, or adding changing your diet. You need to give it time, and you just need to be consistent with it in order to really assess whether or not it's positively affecting you or causing maladaptations. And so I just also encourage my clients and also myself to explore several different protocols, but just have that level of consistency, make notes, and then if after between 4 and 6 weeks we're not seeing positive effects, then okay, maybe it's time to change it up. Let's try something new. Now let's try some carb cycling. Let's try only one time a week doing high intensity interval training, and then all low intensity on the other days. I mean, the truth is there's so much research to support like a multitude of protocols in terms of nutrition and exercise. And so just having knowledge of them and working with someone who has knowledge of them, and then just hold yourself accountable and maybe have another person hold you accountable. And if you can't afford a coach or a personal trainer, I know those things can be on the expensive side, then just hold yourself accountable by seriously like a 3-minute video log at the end of the day, or a journal. Make note
yeah,
over time, stay consistent on a program, and
yeah,
then maybe try something else and make it
yeah,
fun. Like you said, make it fun. Like if it's not
yeah,
fun, the life is too short. Try something else,
yeah,
because there are so many protocols that work. If intermittent fasting is stressing you out, you don't have to intermittent fast
exactly.
to employ anti-aging into your routine.
Yeah,
That's just one tool that might work for you,
yeah,
you know?
100%. Absolutely. Fun and play are crucial.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. I know. That video of you like spidey climbing around that column in the front of your house. That's why I did a screen recording of that from my Instagram reel, because I was like, this is anti-aging. Not only does that show how agile you are to be able to do that little rock climbing maneuver, but additionally, you are frolicking in that moment, you are being playful in that moment, and that is also something that we need to exercise every day to be able to activate on a daily basis. You got to practice these things, and I can see that you do this.
That spiral staircase behind me is my climbing frame, you know, and so I think if you really sort of go about this with an exploratory mindset, with a fun, playful mindset, you know, you can look at everything around you. Your whole environment is your gym. Your whole environment is your play tool. Your body is your tool. You know, just find ways of moving, pushing, lifting, pulling, squatting,
Absolutely.
running. Absolutely. Just find ways to do it, and then you don't have. I think, because I suppose I'm speaking to those that don't like the gym, or those that don't like the word exercise. There are ways of getting enough physicality in your life that doesn't actually mean you have to go to the gym. You know, you don't even have to change into any kit. You know, there are things you can do. And do you remember me telling you, AJ, about Vilpa, which is a friend of mine, Dr. Emmanuel Stamatakis out of University of Sydney. He's done some research using wearable devices over, I think it was 5 years, UK cohort of about 30,000 people wearing wearables. He was able to look at the data and assess if, rather than exercising in the form that we all perceive exercise, if instead you broke up your day into 3 or 4 bouts of very short bursts of increasing your heart rate, is that enough? Is it the equivalent of you going to the gym for an hour a day? As it turns out, yes, it is. And
I have to know how short.
Oh,
the
it
intervals.
can be as short as a minute. This is what's ridiculous. The data that they've pulled from this is really astonishing. And it correlates with, I think, over 50% decrease in cardiovascular disease. I'll send you the, it came out in Nature Medicine, the research, and it's appeared in lots of other papers now. But it's really, really interesting. So what that means is, for the average Joe, all it means is, let's say you're late for school. You're late for taking your children to school, so you run to school to get there. It might be a minute or 2 of running, enough to get your heart rate pumping. And then maybe later on in the day, rather than driving to the supermarket, you decide to walk, and then walk back with heavy bags. And then maybe rather than taking the lift, you decide to walk up the stairs, but there's enough stairs to get your heart rate pumping. It just needs to be significant and high intensity enough, but even just a minute is enough, as long as you do 3 or 4 bouts a day. I mean, ideally you're aiming for more than that, clearly. But in other words, the point is, you don't have to worry about it being a long session. It can be short bouts of high intensity, and that is enough. That's all we need. So for those busy folk out there, they can see their life as being just short bouts of very, very hard sort of, you know, raising of the heart rate. That is enough. There's lots of ways to do it. I'm sure people can be imaginative about how they can raise their heart rate.
Well, this is so incredibly fascinating to me, because I wanted to talk to you about VO2 max and that being a representative of how of our anti-aging protocol. And I'm assuming that this vigorous intensity over the course of the day certainly would be one of the most effective strategies to keep that VO2 max high. For anyone who doesn't know what VO2 max is, that maximum amount of oxygen that we can take into our body, and that does decline with age. So there is certainly a method of anti-aging. when you move, like move quickly and get that heart rate up, because not only is that high intensity exercise going to help maintain that VO2 max, maybe even raise it over time. I'm working with a 76-year-old right now, and he actually has raised his VO2 max over the past 2 years with a combination of high intensity exercise and hypoxic training. He also does have an altitude chamber in his home, so that's helpful as well. But it's interesting to me because it's really the high intensity exercise. Now I didn't actually know about this amazing cohort of 30,000 people. I mean, that evidence is amazing. But it's the high intensity exercise that is so anti-aging. And of course the protocols that I see in the research are generally closer to like Tabata protocols, which are 10 or 15 seconds, like super high intensity. And of course, the Tabata protocols are brutal because it's only like 10 or 15 seconds rest. Whereas a lot of the high intensity, the like super high intensity research is like pushing 90-95% or even above 100% of the supramaximal of the maximum heart rate, and then resting for up to 2 to 3 minutes and repeating that like 7 or 8 times within a session. And that has been shown time and time again to improve VO2 max, that maximum amount of oxygen you can consume, much more than even, it's called lactate threshold training, which is working like 85% of your maximum heart rate for longer periods of time. That's like a 6 or 7 minute interval, and or the longer, slower, lower intensity cardio sessions. Now, is there a time and a place for those? And also, can that also be anti-aging for different reasons, such as like the long, slow cardio helping, with your recovery, with your mitochondrial density, for your body's ability to recover after exercise? Sure. Like if you work your aerobic system, your low aerobic system, that low aerobic system is going to be more powerful and more efficient. But the high intensity system has also been shown to improve some of those adaptations that low aerobic exercise gives you. And also, to your point, it improves that ability to move fast. And those are the things that also decline with age. So if you practice, and I love this because it also like helps you just like have fun every day with your anti-aging protocol and your cardio. When you have to move somewhere, move quick. Be safe. Make sure that your movement is quality, because I think that's some of the, one of the things that older individuals are fearful of is performing high intensity exercise, or the movements that you need to generally perform to get the heart rate up to that high intensity. I think that they're fearful, especially if they don't have like a good base of functional strength, that they're going to get injured performing that high intensity exercise. So knowing that high intensity exercise is anti-aging, but older individuals, who maybe have arthritis or are dealing with the normal aging things, are fearful of performing the high intensity exercise. Like, what kind of suggestions do you give to that person who may be fearful of the high intensity, but also knowing that it's just so good for us and it is anti-aging?
Yeah, well, I'd say hit the water. That seems to me probably the best protocol, safest, isn't it, really? And you could still significantly raise your heart rate, in a safer environment, really.
Absolutely.
That's what I would suggest. I tend not to work with those people of that age, but yeah, that's what I would suggest. I think. I don't know whether you agree. Is that something you would do?
I do agree. Sorry, I keep taking my headphones off. I have a little echo when I talk. I 1000% agree. I think that getting in the water is so smart. It enables you to get to that, that high level of intensity. While taking the stress off of your joints. So I think that's a wonderful strategy. And then additionally, you're automatically incorporating your breath work and your breath training as soon as you get into the water, because you have to control your breathing when you get in the water. So now you've just coupled your high intensity exercise with your breath work, and both of us know that that's anti-aging. And one of the reasons why I started to, a couple years ago, I started to teach online classes to group classes, which was my first time in many years, because I had only been one-on-one for a long time, was because I started to pair the breath work with the moderate intensity exercise, and I started to see this really interesting effect, which we're studying just formally at a university here now. Much more research is needed here, but what we found is that by combining the breath work with the functional training, and not even working super high intensity, but working at a more moderate level, that with the extended exhales, the heart rate would kind of plateau, and then as soon as you went to an inhale, you get that high heart rate spike, because of the sympathetic nervous system that spikes with that inhalation. And so it's a really interesting method of high intensity interval training because you're using your breath to add intensity to more like moderate intensity exercise. And it is a little, it is definitely lower impact, so that you don't have to do extremely explosive squat jumps or running uphill on a treadmill to get your heart rate super high, but instead you're adding in that hypoventilation and that like slower breathing in conjunction with more moderate intensity exercise, like circuit training, and it's just lower impact, but using that, that breathing to get the spike. And I think that you also employ that with breath work, and even using, something like the Wim Hof method, or Soma breathing. I know you're a Soma instructor as well, and your own breath work protocols that are certainly anti-aging because they can either downregulate or upregulate and work certain things in your body that tend to age over time, like lung capacity and like your forced exhalation and the breath work that just helps to regulate your system in conjunction with exercise. So moving on to breath work, how are you using your breath work these days for anti-aging?
Yeah, well, really good question, because I use all kinds of breath work personally. And in fact, I've got to give a workshop to a group of corporate folk specifically about performance. So I was going to actually check in with you around that, about your thoughts on boosting performance through breath work. But as far as anti-aging is concerned, I think, as you say, because when we look at the curve that indicates what depletes as we age, especially, in fact, after 30, it is a downward curve unless you build in intervention, isn't it? And it's a downward curve in pretty much most of the functions of our body. So when we get to 50, my age, or I say I'm 50 this year. I'm lying. I'm 50 this year. But anyway, when you get to that point, there is a bit of a steeper decline, again, unless you build in these interventions. One of those would be absolutely breath work, especially because of the fact that lung capacity decreases, as you say. So for me, I do a lot of full breathing, so full breaths on a regular basis, making sure that I'm just getting my diaphragm exercised, making sure that, and I suppose this is where for a lot of people, when they think about breath work, there are so many different practices out there. They're not really too sure what to do when. But even just consciously being aware of your breath will aid your respiratory system. In other words, just sitting there, as I do, consciously being aware of the movement of my belly. Again, for a lot of people, of course, they're moving their top half of their body, the chest, when they're breathing. But sometimes, or what you can do is just concentrate on that lower abdomen area and just imagine that as you inhale, the belly moves out, and then you can follow that breath up. A lot of breath work comes with this sort of conscious awareness that, when you close your eyes, you can almost imagine that you're drawing in oxygen from your navel, and then you can follow it up through your body. And that ensures that you're getting a full breath. So that's one of the things that I do, that I would recommend people do, if only for the fact that it is going to just keep that whole system exercised. The other thing is I play again with chemicals. So I'm quite often working with my nitric oxide. That has many benefits: antibacterial, antiviral, pretty much everything. And it also, of course, exercises your blood vessels. So in that it's a vasodilator, so it opens up your blood vessels. And when you think about it, I suppose, as far as skin age, as far as tissue age is concerned, we need to make sure that the blood is moving freely through the system. And so one way of aiding that would be by boosting nitric oxide. And you can do that via a whole load of different methods. Brahmari is one, which is basically humming. What I do, that I quite often talk to people about, is the Ujjayi breath, which is the constricted throat breath, also known as Darth Vader breath. So that would be a really good exercise to do. It's really good for people with asthma, for example. So I got rid of my asthma by learning breath work.
Wow.
And you do that by various different breath holds. So that would be another thing that I would highly recommend that I do as well. Simply walking. And I know if you've spoken to David Jackson about this, he probably would have mentioned it. You walk And as
Oh
you're
yeah, even the
walking,
running. I mean, for the athlete.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah, you either train yourself to breathe only through your nose when you're running or exercising, or another way that is just a really good simple trick is just to walk around your room or walk around outside. Take a couple of inhale exhales, not particularly deep, just slightly bigger than you would normally do, and then exhale, hold your breath, pinch your nose, and walk until you get the first urge to breathe. And then you breathe through your nose first. You don't breathe through your mouth. And if when you take that first inhale, you're finding yourself go, then you know you've held your breath for too long. It's not about how long you can hold your breath. It's just simply up until the point when you get that first urge. And then you walk a few more paces and then you repeat. And that practice is going to improve a whole lot of things. But that's a really good practice for asthmatics. Especially around carbon dioxide, improving your tolerance to carbon dioxide as well as nitric oxide. So, yeah, those are the sort of things I do. But then every morning I do 2 to 3 rounds, maybe once a week, 5 rounds of full-on, quite exaggerated sometimes, soma breath work, or what people also call Wim Hof method, or it's pranayama derived. And that can be really energetic and makes you feel amazing afterwards. So that, above all the breath work that I do, is part of my routine that gives me that excitable feeling. So I would say that is probably key to the anti-aging breath work, because after I do it, I am on a high every single time.
Absolutely. And I'm so excited about this, and I know you probably have YouTube videos on your channel that show you going through this protocol, because I'm sure that so many individuals are interested. I'm also gonna try to post this YouTube on the Instagram after this. In exactly like what the tempo, what the frequency is, for you to be, to stimulate your nitric oxide and to stimulate your, whatever neural pathways you're stimulating in your morning breathwork routine, because it works for you, and therefore it probably works for hundreds of thousands of other people as well. And then there's probably 100,000 people who it doesn't work for. But follow what Dave does, because it really works for him, and we're not that different from each other. We're a little different. And so we have to make, tiny changes. But, it's so interesting what you said about, adding in the breath holds. Not to a point of extreme stress, but enough stress that it's use stress. Use stress is good stress. That good stress you are going to positively adapt to over time. So you do want to stress your body in tiny doses, like hormesis, hormetic factors, or little doses of stress that the body can positively adapt to over time. You don't want to be a person who just never exposes yourself to stress and you're always in the parasympathetic nervous system. That's not good. We need to work the whole spectrum of our nervous system. Our sympathetic, that's our fight or flight, and our parasympathetic, and everything in between. It's a whole spectrum. What is overtraining syndrome? That's ultimately you going all the way parasympathetic and having no access to your sympathetic nervous system. So those acute doses of sympathetic are so important, and that's where the Wim Hof method comes in. Hyperventilation, even my slow breathing in conjunction with exercise, that hypoventilation with exercise will also stress the body. But your body will positively adapt to it as long as you have it in the appropriate doses. And like you say, if you start hyperventilating at the end of a breath hold and you cannot bring it back to a controlled nasal breath pretty quickly, within 15 to 30 seconds, then you probably did go too hard. Another representative of, as to, where you should be with your breath work is simply take a carbon dioxide tolerance test, see where that carbon dioxide tolerance is over time, see if that's improving. That is also correlated with your VO2 max, which is also anti-aging. So one could also argue that improving your CO2 tolerance over time is certainly anti-aging. So for those of you who respond to, those hard numbers, those metrics, which I understand many of my clients do, I need to show them their improvements in heart rate variability. I need to show them their improvements in carbon dioxide tolerance. Breath work is anti-aging 100%. I love breath holds because we also get to a place of hypoxia. I'm obsessed with hypoxic training. I focused on this in my graduate paper, and now I'm in postgraduate research looking at using breathing only to get in a state of hypoxia. Now I tend to focus a little more conservatively and like staying in that, and I like having a pulse oximeter on the finger all the time and like staying in a window between like 75 and 90% blood oxygen for the intervals, but I try to mimic those intermittent hypoxic exposure protocols, which keep you hypoxic between like 3 and 5 minutes and then like rest in between nasal breathing. But the cool thing about breath work is not only, as you say, is it improving carbon dioxide tolerance, improving the levels of nitric oxide, which nitric oxide can also help lower your blood pressure. That is anti-aging. So just know that that's also something that, you know, we can integrate into our routine, you know, to keep that blood pressure in check. But then, you know, also the factors in the body that upregulate when we lightly lower our blood oxygen is powerful. And this is this is kind of a cutting edge area, like using your breath work to get into a state of hypoxia. I know I use this in my method. I know that Wim Hof made this extremely popular, you know, more on a hyperventilation, but that is an example of a positive stressor. You know, knowing what your dosing is for it to be positive, whether it is intermittent fasting or intermittent hypoxic training or whatever it be, these are all stresses to the body, so you need to dose them appropriately. But the body does positively respond, and you know, the research is certainly there to support it. So it's very exciting, you know, as far as like improving cognition, improving reactive skills, improving learning potential. These are things we need to think about with aging over time, because these are things that decline, and we're not actively working on them daily and having fun while doing it, because you're not going to be consistent with it if you're not having fun. And the key to any long-term change is consistency. So let's have fun doing it.
Absolutely. Now I need to step away because I'm going to be in half an hour.
And I do too.
That 8-hour marathon. It's called a vision day, is what we're going to be doing. Anyway, so
amazing. This was amazing, Dave. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was a really good chat. We could go on for hours, but
we can do a part two. We can even do 20-minute little chunks here and there. Maybe we'll do an Instagram live next for fun for the Instagram community.
Brilliant idea.
All right, thanks, Dave. Have a great 8-hour session. This is so informative and awesome.
See you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.